Hey, let's just be kind, shouldn't we? Maybe you heard that phrase, and maybe you said, well, I'm going to be kind and I'm going to be the nice person. And maybe you wondered, does this actually leave me behind sometimes? Is this becoming one of my problems? And we're going to talk about exactly this today. We have an expert on the matter with us today. Hello and welcome, Danny Goldberg.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for taking the time. We get straight into it. You wrote a book with a pretty straightforward title, a little bit of a-hole. Here we are. So, what motivated you to write this book right now when mostly, especially when you see motivational speakers, usually say, be kind, be the nice person in the room. You always have to be courteous to people. That gets you. Kindness goes a long way. We all heard these phrases all over the place. What was your motivation to write this book right now, which has a very different tone?
Yeah, the title is purposely provocative because I think there's a lot of people out there. And again, I agree with the thought of being kind. I don't know if I agree with the thought of being liked, if that makes sense. And, you grow up, my parents were immigrants to the United States. And growing up, they always said, to be nice to everybody, be nice. Well, what I found is it doesn't matter how nice you are, people are going to take advantage of you.
Mm.
In the dating world, if you're too nice, women don't like you. So there's got to be a balance. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be a kind person, but you've got to have that little bit of an edge to you where people understand what your boundaries are, and you have to understand how to say no to people. Because if you're
Yeah.
a people pleaser like me, you want to make people happy, but you lose your identity by focusing only on the others and not your own needs. And
Mm.
that's what happens to a lot of people pleasers, and they get taken advantage of.
Absolutely. But when we now talk about setting boundaries, because that's a huge topic at the moment, people say, okay, look, either in private life or at work, you somehow should set boundaries. On the other hand, you have especially the very indirect British or American corporate culture, say yes to everything, please people, always step up first, always say yes to the first thing someone offers you. How do I set boundaries that actually stick?
I think you've got to understand what your limitations are and what you're looking for. For me, when I can give you the example of working with my son, he's a freshman in college now, and he was spending a lot of money, spending a lot of money of my money on his girlfriend. And I was getting very frustrated with him. So I gave him a budget. I said, look, here's how much you're going to spend every month. If you can't do it, then you're going to have to figure it out. That's not my problem anymore. I cut off all the credit cards. I gave him a certain amount every month. And it was pretty generous, but he still spent it all within the first 2 weeks. And so then he's calling me and asking me, hey, can I get this? Can I get this? I said, no, I'm sorry. You've got to figure this out. And it got to a point where it made me almost feel sick because
Hmm.
he was taking advantage of me. And I had that with my girlfriend as well. You get to a point where if I don't do this, it's going to hurt our relationship greatly. If I just
Hmm.
give in to that person at work and I say yes to them, am I going to get credit for the work? Are they going to appreciate it? Can I live with the work that I just did? Is this the right decision for me, for my career? And I think you've got to go through all those thoughts while you're setting those boundaries in order to set those boundaries, because boundaries are healthy for any relationship. When you don't have boundaries, people take advantage of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And saying no is something you said before. Let's talk about that. Many people say, look, I always think about saying no, and this always works in my head until someone steps up to my desk and say, look, this is really urgent. The company needs that. I'm going to be forever thankful if you do. I owe you. Maybe you heard that phrase. I owe you if you do. And then they say, look, when I say no right now, I am going to be the bad person in the room. It's going to be held against me. It's going to be against my promotion. It's going to harm my career. So here are they in the morning. They said, today I'm going to say no. And the first moment someone steps up, they're like, but I think this situation is special, so I'm going to say yes here again. And that happens all the time. How to find out when to actually say no? And second question, how to actually say no without coming across as a completely rude, ignorant person?
I think you've got to pick your battles. In the scenario you just said, if that's my boss, I'm probably going to say yes to that. Now, if I continue to say yes to that every time he asks, it's urgent and it's not really urgent. I owe you one. He never, never takes care of me, never gives my bonus. Then I'm going to start shutting it down pretty quick. I'm going to say, no, I'm working until 5 o'clock today. And I'm sorry, I've got commitments, period. Because
Hmm.
you got to understand, are they really truly looking out for you, or taking advantage of you and looking out for yourself? So
Hmm.
those situations, I think you've got to just understand what's the right time to say no. Now, just saying no, that takes a lot of intestinal fortitude, quite frankly. With my girlfriend, she asked me for something a couple months ago, and I told her, I said, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm sorry. And at that point, I didn't even explain it to her. I think sometimes we feel like we have to rationalize our behavior and go into this long, arduous explanation of why I said no. It's like, no, I can't do that. And then she said afterwards, she said, why not? And I explained it to her real quick. But I knew I had to say no in order to preserve our relationship. Because if we
Mm,
didn't say no, the boundaries were going to stretch and she was going to take advantage of me and I was going to end up ending our relationship. And I told her that. I said, if we don't do this now, we're going to have problems later on. She didn't like the
mm.
answer, but she accepted it.
Yeah, so that means you would say any healthy, let's say, let's stick to the workplace here. When
Yeah.
we are in a workplace relationship and you never say no, you will say people definitely always take advantage of you.
I would say in most cases, people will learn to take advantage of you. Maybe even not on purpose, but they know you're the go-to person.
Yeah.
So they know they can rely on you. So they're going to overuse you all the time. So you've got someone else that's doing a decent job. You've got you doing a great job. You're going to get called on all the time doing a lot more work. What does that get you? It's not more salary. It's not a promotion. If it is, that's a whole different conversation. But in most cases, they're going to take advantage of that situation because, again, being reliable might be a negative in the professional world at times.
Yeah. Excellent, because you now already answered my other question I had in mind. Because you think that some people take advantage of you without even knowing. They just think you're doing a great job, and they don't have any malicious thoughts. They just do it because you're so good at what you're doing.
I teach a class on managers, and we talk about this a lot. You know, you can't over rely on certain people. If I am going to over rely on them, I'm going to tell them, hey, this is going to help shape your career. This is going to help build your skill set. I've got to give them an opportunity to understand why I'm asking them to do this, and because they're reliable. But again, if you have the same person over and over again, it's not necessarily if I have two to choose, I'm choosing A over B every time. But if you choose A over B every time, that person that's A is going to leave eventually because they're going
Mm,
to feel used and abused. So I
yeah.
do believe that some people don't even realize they're doing it. I do believe a lot of people, though, know exactly what they're doing and take advantage of people.
So they pretend they don't know what they do, and they will come across something like, "Oh, I'm just thinking you're doing such a great job, and I think I give it to you because you are so good at what you do." So they basically schmooze themselves into the situation of, and now you have to say yes.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Excellent. So when people now buy the book, how can they expect the book to be written like? Is it like a scientific analysis with tables and whatnot else? Or how is this going to be? What kind of reading experience will people have?
I think I would describe it as a very simple reading experience. I've been told it takes about a couple hours, 3 hours to read the book, and it's practical skills that you can apply on a daily basis. Yes, there's a lot of different studies in there, but I don't focus on that. I wanted to make sure I created a book that people can use immediately. They could read one chapter and say, okay, I'm going to apply that today. And then the next chapter and so on and so forth. So it's a very easy reading experience that they can apply immediately.
So people can expect when they read the book, they have an immediate advantage. They don't have to sit down and extract things and they say, "Oh, how can I apply this?" It's reading, application happens immediately, immediate usage.
100%.
Excellent. So when people now say, maybe you can give us a taste, and when someone says, look, I am that person who maybe got a typical example of one of my clients, person got an engineering degrees, A plus across the board, mid-sized business relying on very few engineers working there, and one person is clearly a tiny bit better than the others, got the team lead. However, they always say, look, we know you have team members, but this task is so important. Could you just please do that? And that basically happens roughly 2 to 3 times, three times a day, with the result that everyone sticks to their hours, but the team lead works about 80 hours a week and basically gets nothing else than a thank you. When this person now says, look, I'm not a naturally confrontational person. I like to appease people. I like to be liked. I know being respected is more important. However, it's difficult for me. What would be your top one, two, three behaviors they can adapt by tomorrow?
I think just good project management skills in that case really help out a lot because you can only be as successful as your team. If you're doing a bunch of the work, you're not focusing on the overall project. So that would be the reason right away I would tell my manager is that the more I focus on this, the more the team is not as efficient and effective. And if I really want to build the skill set of my team, I've got to delegate and I've got to let the team do the work. The ideal scenario is they're working 40, 50 hours a week and I'm working less than that because, again, my focus is different than theirs. So I think it's really breaking it down into good project management steps, meaning timelines, deadlines, making sure everybody understands the expectations. I think that right away is a good idea. B, I don't think you even say no to your manager. It's more, hey, I'd be happy to do that, but I've got to get the team involved in this. I can't do it all on my own, or it defeats the purpose of having a team in the first place.
Mm.
I think that's going to be a hard argument to combat from the other person's point of view, because again, I think it's logical. Why do I have all these other people if you're asking me to do the work. I'm not an individual contributor, but that's what you want me to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One last question I have before I wrap up the interview. When people now say, hey, I think Danny could really help us here as a keynote speaker, as a coach, or as someone who should get into our business, helping us to get actually this implemented in our organization. Very important question. How can they get in touch?
You can get in touch with me through LinkedIn under Danny M Goldberg. M as in Michael. You can email me at dgoldberg@gold, S as in Sam, R as in Ricky, D as in David.com. I've been speaking professionally for almost 20 years on a wide array of topics, and this is one that I'm really, really passionate about, and I think can help people immediately.
Brilliant. So you see, if you think you could take an advantage on, you now have the book that actually can help you to proceed in the right direction. At the end of the interview, at the end of the podcast and video cast, there's only one thing left for me to say. Danny, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.